Okay, wow. I am still in shock by the way this game ended in Philadelphia, 33-26. The Philadelphia Eagles pulled this one out of their ass. Listen, we could talk about Zach Bond making plays all day. We could talk about Jalen Carter with blocked field goals. And we could talk about Jordan Davis taking one back to the house to end the game. But this is a story about the offense. Okay, this is a story about Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Devonta Smith, and even Dallas Goedert. And you know what? Let's throw Fred Johnson into the mix, too, because he had one hell of a day, too, showing why he should have been playing instead of Matt Pryor. But you see what happens when you take the straight jacket off of Jalen Hurts and you let him throw the damn ball? How about it? I mean, this dude finished the game today 21 of 32 with 226 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a rushing touchdown with 40 yards on the ground. That is what you would want from your quarterback. For all the people who tell you that, hey, Jalen Hurts has all his weapons on offense, he's reliant on everybody else, and they don't want to. You were down by 3 scores. You were down by damn near 20 points in the second half. And you came roaring back to take the lead with a Devonta Smith touchdown with 1:30 left to go. Now, listen, I don't want to get overhyped about the way the Eagles performed because they did let Matthew Stafford and company drive down the field, get into field goal range, and set for the winning field goal, but it got blocked, and Jordan Davis took it back to the house. And a lot of people who made bets are really upset. But listen, by hook or by crook, you win the damn game, and that's all that really matters. And this offense finally woke up, threw the ball down the field, and everything else started playing and fitting itself into the right place. And you come out and win the football game against a really talented Rams team. A tale of two halves, ladies and gentlemen, is what this game was all about. And we're going to get into a little bit more deeply into the specifics of each half and some of the takeaways in this game. But before we do that, we introduce the show. This is the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I'm your host, Asif Badi. Like you, I am a Birds fan who talks about the Birds, only the Birds, and nothing but the Philadelphia Eagles. So please do us a favor here. Help us grow this channel organically by shooting this video a thumbs up, commenting your thoughts in the comments section below, and subscribe to the channel. Also, check us out on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and leave a 5-star review. You can tell how excited I am because in the end, it doesn't cost you a damn thing to subscribe to this channel. So we thank you for your support on the opposite side of the camera, on the opposite side of the airwaves. Like I mentioned before, guys, this is a tale of two halves, and we're going to kind of talk about both sides of the ball here. In the first half, it was a really ugly football game. 19-7, the Rams had the lead, and Philadelphia, for what it's worth, really made the Rams settle for a lot of field goals, and maybe that was by Sean McVay's conservatism in terms of not wanting to, punch the Eagles in the mouth. They felt they had control of the game, and I don't blame them for thinking that because they quite frankly did have control throughout the entire first half. And, Kyron Williams was rushing for 5 yards a clip. Blake Corum had 40 yards in the first half. I mean, they ran for 115 yards in the first half, averaging 6 yards a carry. That that's just going to get it done in the NFL. And then Matthew Stafford had a touchdown of his own. Devontae Adams was getting busy, right? He had the 44-yard ball. Again, push off. I don't care about the no call there. I thought it was fine. Let the players play a bit, right? But Matt Stafford was wheeling and dealing. The offense was humming for the Rams, and the defense in Philadelphia, really considering what they were playing up against the Rams at that point in time, holding them to 19 points is a win in the NFL when you got an offense like that, right? So kudos to the defense. Zach Bond was making plays all over the field in the first half. I thought he played excellent. And, it was just one of those games where you look at it and you're saying, damn, if only you got something from the offense, this defense would just play so much better. And that's exactly what we got in the second half. Now, it didn't start that way because, Jared Verse had the quick sack fumble, a clean shot on Jalen Hurts. Once again, after the offense was looking lethargic, they get a quick score, and now all of a sudden you're down by 3-4 possessions, and Philadelphia says, okay, looks like we got to pass the ball now. And once they started throwing the ball, we had a sarcastic cheer when A.J. Brown caught his first pass for 8 yards on a comeback route on the left sideline. And then all of a sudden, it woke up a giant. And now the freaking Philadelphia Eagles started going off on a tear. A.J. Brown was showing why I consider him a transformer and a top 3, maybe even top 2 wide receiver in all of football. He just went off in the second half. Okay. Basically, listen, I said he would have a $120 with like 5 catches and a tutty in this game. He ended up finishing the game with 6 catches, 109 yards, and a touchdown. So we finally started getting the ball to him, force feeding him the ball. And sometimes you got to take chances with a player like A.J. Brown, and he's going to come up with more catches than not. Devonta Smith had a lot of tough catches today. Just a tough son of a bitch he is for the size that he is. 6, he had, what did he have at the end of this game here? He ended up finishing the game with 8 catches, 60 yards, and the game-winning touchdown for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then, like I said, Jalen Hurts. This is really what the story's all about, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jalen Hurts putting on the Superman cape, and this offense finally waking up. Kevin Patullo throwing caution to the wind and just chucking the ball down the field. And you see what happens when you open up the offense a little bit more. You see what happens when you get these receivers involved, get more dynamic plays down the field. Everything else starts to play better, okay? Because look what happened. I got numbers from the first and second halves here, okay? The Philadelphia Eagles in the first half had like 30 yards. It was insane. And the Rams had like damn near 200 yards, probably even more than that, right? In the second half, though, here's what Jalen Hurts and company did in the second half. Jalen Hurts went 17 of 24 with 209 yards, 3 touchdowns. A.J. Brown had 6 catches, 109 yards in the touchdown. Devonta Smith in the second half had 6 catches, 44 yards, the go-ahead touchdown. Dallas Goedert had a 33-yard touchdown catch as well. And then Saquon Barkley, again, really bad day with him running the ball. And in the first half, he was getting only 2 yards a carry, 7 attempts, 13 yards. In the second half, he had 11 attempts for 33 yards. Again, not much of an uptick. The running game is a little bit of a concern. We'll talk about that in a moment. But he came out and, got some tough yardage, big first downs when we needed it. And that was also the time where Fred Johnson basically was put into the lineup instead of Matt Pryor. And once he got put into the lineup, the offense started settling in. Jalen Hurts had time, more protection since Lane Johnson went out of the game with the injury to his neck. We hope he gets better soon. But then the Rams offense, ladies and gentlemen, basically replicated what they did in the air. Matt Stafford had 97 yards and a touchdown in the first half. In the second half, Stafford had 100 yards in the touchdown, that touchdown to Kieran Williams. But the rushing attack for the Rams completely flipped. It went from 115 yards in the first half and 6 yards a clip to 45 yards in the second half. Now, yes, they averaged 4 yards a carry in the second half, but I will take a 2 yards difference per carry in the second half, because when you have an offense that's actually forcing the defense to spread out and actually put pressure on the opposing defense, all of a sudden your defense now gets a little bit more rest time. They get a little bit more of a chance to breathe, make more adjustments, really look at what the offense is doing on the opposite side and make adjustments on their own. Get a breather, get some oxygen, get some water. And you saw what happened in that second half. The defense played with a little bit more life. They were around the ball more, playing with a little bit more energy, because you finally have an offense that can go ahead and answer some of these scores. Which brings me to Kevin Patullo, Nick Sirianni, and his organizational philosophy when it comes to offense here. Do you see what everybody in Philadelphia has been clamoring for? You have a quarterback. Okay, I have been hearing this narrative for the past 2-3 weeks. This offense is being run based on the limitations of the quarterback. This offense is being run because this is the skill set of Jalen Hurts. I find that to be hard to believe when you see what you just saw in the second half. There is no way that Jalen Hurts and company, for the first 3 games of the year, the first 2.5 games of this year, we're saying this is the offense that I want to run. This is the offense that's acceptable based on my skill set to maximize my ability. Ain't no way in hell. So reporters who tell you this is what the offense has been, this is what it is with the quarterback, this is his limitations, they have built an offense for this quarterback. I find that to be bullshit. Excuse my language, but that's bullshit to me. This second half offense. Now, listen, I am not going to sit here and say that Philadelphia has figured it out. By no means necessary. You got to string some games here. But what I will say is that when you let the freaking playbook open up a little bit more, dust the cobwebs off, and trust your quarterback to make plays, he is capable of doing it with the weapons you have. Let Devonta, let AJ, let Dallas Goedert show why you paid so much money to these guys. And let Jalen Hurts, let your MVP, your Super Bowl winner, MVP quarterback, go out and earn his check. It's not just to win games. You want the light show, let him give you an opportunity to go ahead and do it. Now, I'm not looking for him to throw for 350 yards a game. Nobody is in Philadelphia. What we want is just a balanced attack. An offense that can give you the threat of the pass to open up the run. Now, listen, the Rams did a good job in this game stopping Saquon Barkley, and kudos to them. And that's something that we're going to dive into, and we have to talk about that a little bit more. But it's about time this offense showed what it can do through the air and what Jalen Hurts can do through the air. And you string more games like that, all of a sudden, as the season goes on and as the season gets closer and closer to January, you're going to see the running attack get a little bit better. You're going to see this defense play with more confidence, more swagger, and really start getting more turnovers than it does. Listen, I know you value turnover differential. Sometimes you got to risk a play here and there in order to open up the offense and open up this team and get some more life in this unit. Throwing the ball down the field opens up the defense. Look, there was a couple of passes where I'm like, damn, Jalen, you're really feeling yourself throwing into some tight windows. But guess what? That's the NFL. You got to make some tight window throws. He made those tight window throws. He made the defense pay. And you know what? Throughout his entire career, throughout the entirety of his career, except for a stretch, especially in 2023, heading into the opening of 2024, he was turning the ball over a ton. Since then, though, every other year he's been in the NFL, every other year since he's been playing football in college and high school, the one thing that you could say consistently about Jalen Hurts is that he takes care of the football. Has always done it. That has been the one thing that nobody can deny. So now that he's gotten a little bit more better reading a defense, reading blitzes, setting protections at the line, people tell me he's the best decision maker in football. And I agree with him. Some analysts tell me he's the smartest quarterback in the NFL. I tend to agree with them too. And if that's the case, you can't then tell me that reporters are going to tell you this offense is built on the limitations of the quarterback. Because the quarterback's limited, this is why the offense is this way. You can't eat out of both sides. You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth here. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Either the quarterback's limited and this team is limited because this quarterback can't read a defense, can't read zone, all this other nonsense. Or you could say, hey, the play calling has been conservative because you don't want him to turn the ball over. You've made him gun shy. And only then, when you're down by freaking 30 points, basically, are you willing to open up the offense. Or when you have nothing to lose in terms of conservatism, like you did in the NFC title game, like you did in the Super Bowl, and you open up the playbook, do you let your quarterback go out there and run the offense? I don't think there's a coincidence in the fact that, hey, when you throw a little bit of caution to the wind and you let Jalen Hurts actually operate this thing, it looks like a functional offense. It looks like a more explosive offense. Let the man do his thing. So that's the offense. One little quick blurb about the running attack here in Philadelphia, because that's going to be a concern going forward. Because we play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week. That's going to be a tough game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are good. They're built to stop the run. They're built to play with the lead. They have a good defensive coach who has been the kryptonite for Jalen Hurts. This Philadelphia Eagles offensive line has not played well in the running game. It has not. Saquon Barkley does not look the same as last season. Now, I don't believe it's him. I believe the offensive line's not getting the same push as it did just a season ago. We talked about this earlier before the season began, with Landon Dickerson being hurt, with Cam Jurgens is back, right? I was a proponent of saying, hey, I'd rather sit Landon Dickerson for the first few weeks of the year, let him get right, and then be stronger as the season goes on, as opposed to playing him week 1 against Dallas and playing him against the Chiefs, etc. Because you see the difference in the push that we're getting here. We don't have Mekhi Becton anymore. Landon Dickerson's hurt. Cam Jurgens had back surgery. And now all of a sudden, we're sitting here expecting to get the same push as we did last season when teams were putting 8, 9, 10 guys in the box. And Saquon Barkley's not getting touched until he gets to the second level. That's not the same offensive line we have this year. You see, this year, teams are not even stacking up the box anymore. They're putting like 7 guys in the box. 7 guys near the line of scrimmage anyway. And they're getting better stops. They're getting into the backfield. The offensive line is not getting the same push as it did last season. Jordan Mailata has gotten beaten a couple times here. Lane Johnson is hurt. Landon Dickerson does not look the same. He looks like he's 75, 60% of himself right now due to injury. Cam Jurgens is not playing the same way as he did last season. Tyler Steen looks okay, but certainly a downgrade from what Mekhi Becton was for us last season. And because the Great Wall of Philly is now compromised, it's gotten pushed down a rung or two. You see the difference, which is why it's more imperative than ever to let this offense get going through the air. Help the running game out, help the offensive line out, open up the defensive lanes a little bit, and let Jalen Hurts kind of take the reins a little bit more in order to get this passing game and this offense churning more. Because if you have an offense like you saw in the second half, with the defensive performance that you saw in terms of holding them to the points, playing with energy, being around the ball, right? And then eventually you get this running game going on top of it. All of a sudden you're cooking with fire, you're cooking with grease, and the NFL's got a problem. This was a thrilling football game. That's really all my thoughts on this game. What a thrilling game this was. Whoever you were cheering for, whether you were a Birds fan, a Rams fan, or just a fan of football, this game was tight throughout the second half. And just an absolutely, I mean, what a brilliant slate of games it's been these past 2 weeks. Coming down to the wire. I mean, you saw the Bucs game with the Jets coming down to the last second. The Rams and the Eagles coming down to the last second. It's been thrilling these past few days. Jordan Davis looked excellent today, really showing you why he deserves a big payday. Zach Bond played well. Jalen Carter had big plays, still looks out of shape, but had big plays, right? And then obviously Jalen Hurts in this offense, and A.J. frickin' Brown, the transformer that he is, finally was awakened today. It's a good damn feeling to see an offense like that on the field once more. And Kevin Patullo, for now, has taken some of the heat off himself. The next question is, for this offense, can you replicate this more and more as the season goes on? Because if you do that, NFL's got a big problem. On that note, go Birds! Hey! Thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast.